I'm Mark from Fluent Finance Abroad, and I'm here again with another interview. And today I'm very, very pleased and very, very happy to introduce Dylan Boyle from UCI. UCI is a bank that we work with. It's called the Unión de Créditos Inmobiliarias. Hello, Dylan.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in. So can we start off then, Dylan? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the journey of being a Spanish banker?
Honestly, I fell into it.
Okay.
I came here in uni to do work experience in a bank, decided I'm never going to work in a bank, and I work in a bank, and I have for 20 years, but it's a different kind of bank, which is like, just a mortgage bank, so I'm not busy selling televisions and cutlery and stuff like that, so it's much more fun.
That's an interesting point. So whereabouts are you from originally?
I'm Welsh. I'm really from Zambia, but I'm Welsh. My family's Welsh, so I say I'm Welsh, but I only lived there for 15 of my 50 years, but I'm Welsh.
You're Welsh, fantastic. And you hold a British passport? Or?
And an Irish one, thankfully.
And an Irish one?
Yeah.
All right, so you've got family.
Thankfully for being able to live in Europe easily and...
Exactly. But you've been in Spain for 20 years,
No, I've been in Spain for 30 years. I've been at UCI for 20.
Wonderful. Okay, good. And you speak Welsh?
Yeah, it's definitely worse than it used to be, but yeah, I was brought up speaking Welsh.
So the very first question we always get asked by fellow industry professionals and clients, are Spanish banks healthy and are they lending at the moment?
Spanish banks are healthy and they're not only lending, they're really competitively lending. So it's a very busy, vibrant mortgage market at the moment in Spain for sure.
So they're healthy, they're lending, and that's true with your bank?
Yeah, that's true with my bank too. We're lucky, we're part of two of the biggest banking groups in Europe, so...
Which two are those?
BNP Paribas and Santander.
And they both own...
We're 50% owned by each of those banks, yeah. UCI is only a mortgage bank, and that's the magic of it. Like, that's what we do. We really know how to do that. We don't confuse clients with other products like taking out a pension plan or which is fine, everyone does what they have to do, but we just do mortgages, that's all we do.
In the UK you have 4 or 5 major banks, high street banks, and they do mortgage lending obviously. But then in the UK there is a whole market.
Huge market, yeah.
Huge market of independent, we call them banks, but they're really lenders.
They're lenders, yeah. Spain is not advanced in that way right now. The future, it probably will be. Everything that happens in Northern Europe or in the UK or in the States or whatever, generally ends up happening here. The same as independent brokers are now growing in Spain, whereas before it wasn't such a big thing. So it will happen, I suppose. And if nobody else does it, Google or Apple or somebody will do it because they...
Yeah, I noticed that Spain does look to other parts of the world for inspiration or guidelines or guidance as to how and slowly.
Yeah.
They do not copy, but they
see what works, and then it comes here. Or investors, international investors, will just come and do it. It happened in the previous period. You remember when there was American companies, which are not necessarily banks, came in, but then they all left in 2006 and 7.
Yeah, you're talking about GE.
I was not going to name them, but maybe yeah.
Yeah, but there's no point. There's no harm in it because GMAC.
Yeah.
General Motors and General Electric.
Yeah.
Here, weren't
Yeah.
they? I remember those.
They were
names.
big. Yeah.
Because you're a banking expert, mortgage expert, tell us about the new Spanish mortgage law that got introduced in 2019 and how has that affected mortgage lending for non-residents?
Okay, overall, it's a really positive law. There's a lot more transparency now. We've always been under the supervision of Bank of Spain. Now you guys are too. This is good. This is good for the transparency. They need to work on those who are not working within the guidelines or underneath the supervision because they exist too. But for the final clients, it's definitely a good thing. Overall, it's a positive law and it was a step forward that needed to be taken.
That's positive for the end user and positive for you guys? Would that be right?
It's definitely positive. The more transparent everything is, the better we all work. Correctly, legally, transparently, ethically, etc., the better it is for the banking sector. We don't want a repeat of what happened in what was the last decade or the decade before. Now time goes so fast that I don't remember, but yeah.
And Spain got hit hard, didn't they?
It did, and this area got really hit hard, but that's not happening now, and it's not going to happen again.
It's much more controlled now.
Yeah.
the banks are taking it a lot more seriously, I've noticed.
Definitely, yeah.
And with the help with regulation, the new mortgage law, I guess that helps.
It does.
Okay, so now we're talking about regulation. What are your thoughts on regulating Spanish real estate agents? And can you also explain that UCI are part of something called CIRA, which is the Spanish International Realty Alliance? So
that's not my part of the company, but CIRA was set up exactly for this reason, to give training. It's got fantastic training programs that are imported or adapted from the National Association of Realtors in the States and CRS. Okay, we collaborate a lot with them as well in their courses, etc., to give them, a place to meet up and to professionalize the industry. It sounds a bit, it's not that we're telling them what to do, we're just facilitating an environment where they can get this training and stuff, because many real estate agents, the very professional ones especially, they're calling out for regulation. Okay, it's not for me to say, of course, how that should be or who should be doing it, etc., but it definitely makes sense, just like it happens in other countries. I mean, it to have a level playing field, and for the client, the customer, to be protected.
That is it, and I totally agree with you. So you would encourage real estate agents to look into joining CIRA, potentially?
CIRA's, there might be other organizations that I don't know about. CIRA's a wonderful organization. For example, now in the 19th and 20th, I think, of June, we've got an event in Mocionate in Valencia. It's the biggest real estate event that exists in Spain. It's outrageous, it's fantastic. I mean, the speakers, the training, everything that goes on there, the networking, it's unbelievable. So yeah, definitely, I love it.
Right.
And everybody I know that's been to it loves it. So I would definitely call anybody who wants to come to check it out.
UCI have always kind of worked with mortgage brokers ever since I've been in Spain. Why? Can you tell us why is it that UCI and Spanish banks are starting to, or actually embracing working with mortgage brokers these days?
Like we were saying, everything's changed. We've always worked with mortgage brokers, with real estate agents. We're not a high street bank with branches. What's happening with banks? They're closing the branches. I mean, you go to any high street now and you'd be lucky to find, even if they have got a branch, there's not enough people in the branch to be able to deal with the customers. They're so busy selling televisions and stuff. No, but really, I've got a lot of friends that work in banks, and they're really stressed in branches. It's a hard job right now, and there's not so many people. So it makes sense for us all to work with intermediaries. You do part of the work, and you give the client a really good service. So it just makes sense. It's the way things are going, and it's the way things should go, probably.
The mortgage broker is focused on the mortgage, which is a very complicated transaction. We're not focused on selling credit cards, home insurance. Whereas if you go into a bank, they have that focus. So mortgage brokers are more specialized in that, which I guess helps you guys.
Absolutely. It's good for the client as well, because they're going to get different offers, and that's the magic of this. Nobody wants to lose any money selling anything. It makes sense. So it's true, like you said, they might be selling credit cards and this, that, and the other. We don't so much, okay? So then the client can look at the different offers they've got, check out the APR, the TAI, because you might be lumbered with a life insurance that goes up when you get to 50, like me, and it goes up a lot, believe me, or check everything out. But it's good for the banks, it's good for the clients, and it's good for you guys. It all makes sense.
We deal with a lot of non-resident applicants, and so do UCI. What percentage of business does UCI do that goes to the non-resident market?
We've worked a lot on this to gain a good market share. So around 30%.
That's big. So if you compare it, okay, so the Spanish national market is massive, isn't it? And 30% of your lending.
But it was a choice. We decided that we wanted to specialize in this and give good service to non-residents, so we worked on it. It's not as easy as it seems. Like anybody says, yeah, I'm going to do that. But you need specialists to know how to analyze these documents in different languages. You need salespeople that understand it. So it takes actually a long time to develop this process. And so, We
know that. One of the reasons why we like working with UCI is because you have that expertise and you are open and have the capacity to deal with non-resident, which is our core business. Your bank, your lender has consciously made a decision to be there for
Yeah,
non-residents.
absolutely.
What have UCI done to move with the market? You brought in new products.
One really good product that we're doing a lot of now is purchase and refurbishment in the same mortgage loan. Like,
Okay.
for example, if a client, a non-resident, let's just say an 80% client, just a standard client, whatever,
Yeah.
takes out an 80% mortgage loan, we'll also give them 80% of the refurbishment cost inside the same mortgage. Okay, so this is much more comfortable than having to take out a personal loan or use your own funds, which you might have and not want to use or not have or whatever. And while the work's being done, they can be interest only. So this is like an innovative product, but as well as that, we're focusing a lot on giving people different options of which fixed term they want. Okay, UK clients have suffered a lot in the UK from having a rate that they have to renegotiate every 2 years or 5 years, and they're stuck on 7% now.
Yeah.
So we want to give like different options so that people can be comfortable for the period of time they choose to be.
That's what I've noticed. Spain, before the interest rate rises, it was pretty box standard. You either have a variable rate or you have a long-term fixed rate for 20 years.
And that's a new thing, recent, like not new, but it's
Yeah.
like back in 2005, there was no fixed interest rates in
None.
Spain, it was variable.
Zero. Yeah. So there was no kind of hedging against interest rate rises. This is something new, which I think UCI are doing, and other Spanish banks are doing, which I think is positive. You mentioned that product there, the reform product. That's but you mentioned 80%. Is that for residents or is that for
I mean,
non-residents?
non-residents generally, depends on nationalities and all sorts of different things, generally we'll give 70%. But we'll give them also 70% of the refurbishment, okay? So in fact, they're getting 85%, let's say, of the current property value on that. But generally 70. Spanish could be 80, could be 90, could be 95. It depends on the profile of the client.
So you can go up to 70% for non-residents,
Yeah.
and you can look at financing some of the projects as
Yeah.
well, up to 70%. Okay, so that's the maximum, though, isn't it? You wouldn't go above that for a non-resident.
We've got certain cases now of digital nomads, okay, but then this is a term which now there's a definition of it and our understanding is different. So I mean, there are cases when people are living here and their income comes from another country, but we can see they're living here. The good thing about UCI is like the mortgages really are tailor-made. So I mean, it's like we will look at the general logic of the whole situation, and then apply exceptions to the policy if it's coherent.
We like the fact that we can talk to you, talk to UCI and talk to banks as well, but we can talk to you about a particular case before submitting it. It's really important for us. So you have a flexible, it's not just a set of tick boxes and, you don't qualify because, I don't know, you were born on a Wednesday, for example.
This is right. It's like artificial intelligence is great, right? But it's great at the moment for simple things. Normally non-resident files aren't simple.
No.
So like if they've got to go into a machine, tick 3 boxes, like lots of them will just be churned back out and lost. We've always worked this way. I mean, and what you said, it's great for the final client to have an idea of how much they can borrow before wasting their time going around looking at apartments or houses or whatever. And we've always done, for us, it's great because for us, we've always done this.
Yeah.
So it's not new. Like first, so others are catching up, but
Exactly. and there's a lot of catching up to do. So you mentioned there the agreement in principle. You offer that as well, and that's something, again, that's a massive bonus for us, because you're right. Clients need certainty. Why would they get on a plane, fly to Spain from wherever it is in the world, go and see properties, and then realise they can't get a mortgage? You need that agreement in principle first, and thank you for being able to offer that to us. The Spanish mortgage law has made it a little bit difficult to lend to certain clients from different parts of the world. Why is that?
okay, the reason is that it's really weird because the interpretation in Spain of the law is different to what it is in other countries. Like we work a lot in Portugal as well, and it's a different interpretation of the law. But in Spain, it was decided that to protect the client, if the client comes and they're earning in Argentine pesos, they can chop and change the loan from one currency to another. I mean, this isn't doable, okay? So it's made banks like really limit the currencies that they will finance. We've worked a lot on this over the last couple of years, so we're able to more or less deal with any client that needs finance.
The main issue is the currency, isn't it? It's not the nationality.
No, it's the currency. I mean, it could be a Spanish person or a British person living in Argentina, but that's where their income is. There's different things. It's where your income is, where most of your assets are, etc., etc. But I mean, there's limits. I mean, but because of international law or blocks or whatever, we can't finance people from Iran or from North Korea. This we can't do, obviously. But from most countries, we can find a solution.
We've got a client from North Korea and that can't talk
Sorry,
to you.
no, definitely not.
Okay.
Well, things. I mean, if someone's from North Korea but has been living in Spain for the last 20 years, then we can look at it, but we're going to look at it very carefully.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to predict the future. Please let me know, and we can put some money on it and see how it goes. Tell me then, Dylan, what's your opinion on current interest rates? Do you think we're going to go up? Do you think we're going to remain steady, or are they going to go down?
I knew you'd ask this question because everyone asks this question. And this morning, while I was watching the Israeli attack on Iran and what's that going to do to the price of oil and what's that going to do to inflation and what's that going to do, I don't know. I mean, Logic said recently that they were going to come down. Logic said, and all the gurus in the world said they were never going to go up quickly. They did.
Yeah.
So it seemed 5 days ago to me that for sure interest rates were going to come down in Europe. I hope they do. Okay. The Fed's talking about not putting them down so quickly anymore. So I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I really hope that they come down a little bit. I mean, they're not going back to where they were before, and they shouldn't. That's not actually logical either.
No.
So rather than predict, I'll just pray a little bit that they come down a bit. But
it's a silly question, really. It's an impossible one to answer, but thanks for giving.
But people love answering it.
Yeah, I know they are. But okay.
Someone's going to get it right. If enough people make a prediction, somebody will get it right. Then they can write a book. And
our colleague Julian, he always says that even a stopped clock is correct twice a day.
yeah, exactly.
And so
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. So the final question: what would you like to see your bank do, like UCI, for non-resident mortgage lending to make yourselves more competitive, more attractive?
What I would definitely like, and we're working on this, is to integrate like your systems with our systems. Why? Why do I say that's better? Because then, like any mortgage loan is going to need to be seen a few times. We're generally going to ask for more information. The clients are going to get extra documents. They send them to you. You send them to us. We upload them to the system. I mean, if we integrate and the client can just upload their documents and we get them in real time, this is going to make the whole process much more seamless for the clients. So that, I definitely see that being a big step forward and good for everybody.
You're from Wales. As a company, we went to Swansea to do a bit of work with a broker, and the level of technology integration between them and their lenders is just amazing. And we're so behind in that sense. So anything you can do along those lines would just blow us away. Yeah. It would make our life a lot easier.
We're really working on it. I'm not an IT person. I don't know, but I know that everything that involves IT is a lot of work and a lot of investment and a lot of stuff. We're working on it, and I think it's going to be very good, and it's necessary when everything's moved on.
Well, listen, that's a fantastic interview there. Thank you so much, Dylan.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.